Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to welcome you to the special meeting of the Morganton City Council. This is Monday, June 17th, 2013. I want to thank everyone for being here. We got a full house again. I want to thank Dr. Omar for doing his homework. I'd like to make mention, Brad Berkey, Channel 6, I appreciate you coming here tonight. Try to get you to come in to September council meeting. When I go down to your station, by the way, to advertise the festival. I'm hoping that we'll see you there.
I will shake your hand when you walk in.
Thank you. Greg Branch. Where's Greg? Greg's in the back. Greg, I want to thank you for getting our mechanical part of our room available tonight for all the screens and everything working tonight. It took some doing, but he was very innovative, and I want to thank him. He's over IT in the city of Morganton, and I greatly appreciate that. Let me mention that Friday night concerts continue. June 30th to July 4th is our Red, White, and Bluegrass Festival. The last night is July 4th, and that'll be the fireworks, and that's the free night. Farmers markets continue on 2 days, Saturday from 8 to 12, and Wednesdays from 12 to 6. Ron George is retiring as our assistant city manager, and we will have a little event for him on the 26th of June this month, Wednesday, in the lobby.
In this room.
No, in this room. I'm sorry, and we very important. During the storm last week, we sent 2 of our bucket trucks and 4 men to help Drexel, another electricity, and they were very needy. They had a lot of problems with some poles down. The storm actually skirted Morganton. We got some, but not as much as Drexel did, and it went on up toward Salisbury and toward Raleigh, Chapel Hill. But on the 13th, Thursday, we greatly appreciate our guys spent about 9 to 10 hours. There 4 guys went over there, and we appreciate them going, and and I know Drexel appreciates our help. Okay, this is a public hearing, but before I open it up, I'm going to let Sally open up about the budget, give us a little recap of the budget. But when you come up, and I'll mention it again in a few minutes, when you come up, it's specifically on the budget is what you're going to be talking about tonight. We don't deviate from that. You'll go to either one of the podiums. You'll state your name and where you live, your address. You'll have 3 minutes, and I would like to ask each speaker to give something new that the speaker before them hasn't stated. And I'll repeat that as soon as Sally finishes. Sally?
Mm-hmm. The budget before you tonight. At our June 3rd regular council meeting, we had the presentation of the budget. The budget was made available to the public on May the 30th, has been on our website, at the library, and here at the clerk's office, available since that day. Will tell you that I have received only 1 email in regards to the budget. No comments, no questions, no inquiries since that time. Have received 1 email from a citizen not in favor of the recommended tax rate increase included in the budget. The budget before you tonight has a tax rate proposal of 53 cents. That's a 5-cent increase over the current 48 cents. And that is relative to 2 things. To the tax revaluation in Burke County, where we lost about $100 million worth of property valuation, and also to the state changes that have affected our privilege licenses for video gaming, as well as the state changes in our hold harmless sales tax dollars. And so that is how the 5 cents is derived. Those revenues equal about 5 cents. The second proposal in there includes a 14-cent tax rate for the municipal service district, and that is the same as it is today. No recommended rate increase in that. Also includes no rate increase in the garbage fees, no rate increases in water or sewer are proposed for next year. There is an electric rate increase of an average of 5.5%. That's about 19 cents a day to the typical all-electric household, and that would go into effect July 1. There is a Compass Cable rate increase of $3 per month, and that would begin January 1, 2014, and that would be on basic cable. No increase recommended in phone or internet fees. A 2% COLA that would be effective July the 19th. There are all the current services that are provided today are included in this budget to continue, and there's a capital improvement program included, $2.7 million in the general fund and $4.3 million in all of the utility funds. The budget advertisement appeared in the News Herald on June the 5th and included the budget ordinance and a notice of this hearing.
Okay. I'm going to open up the public hearing, and I will ask those that want to speak can go to either podium, give your name and where you reside. You'll have 3 minutes to state what you'd like to state, and again, I'm asking you to give a different reason on why you don't particularly like this budget. That's what I'm asking, and we look forward to your speaking. Start at either podium.
Thank you. My name's Dr. Aziz Omer, 101 Irvingdale Lane. And Mayor, I just want to ask you a question simply, why we would be limited to 3 minutes or not be able to repeat ourselves as well, because there's so many of us here. So, you know.
I understand. 3 minutes is what you will have, but I set the program and I set the agenda.
Right.
And those are my rules.
Oh, I see. Okay. Anyway, I just want to mention that that increase of 5% doesn't seem to be fair, considering that Hickory is not raising theirs, and you've already raised the rates last year as well. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever. And we also have a petition, again, for that 2,900 people who don't agree with that $400 raise in the deposit, which that has just happened, and now we have a budget also. We're increasing that. We're increasing the electric rate, and the county's going to increase another 16%. That's extremely aggressive. In a town, in a county, we have a poverty level of 24% or greater, not to mention unemployment rate of over 10.7%, and it continues to grow as our census continues to go down. As you can see, our audience is completely packed with voters that don't agree with you, Mayor. It's just extremely high, and I'm just going to tell you that we don't agree with that, and I think there should be some compromises with some things, and I just don't understand how we can just come to a simple vote by the city government deciding where the greater good is not being taken into consideration whatsoever. It just seems too high.
Sure, let me ask you, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Are you through?
No, but you can go ahead and ask me.
Well, you go ahead and finish.
Well, you know, since the city of Morganton owns and operates all utilities, cable, electric, water, and sewer, the ability to borrow from and transfer the funds from one department to another, this process has been going on. We feel that because Compass Cable has been losing money, it seems simple because the electric fund is where the money is really being made, that we're raising those rates accordingly because all those other areas would be Compass, auditorium, festivals, anything else is all losing money. I mean, we don't understand that the funds are all mixed up. We don't know if any of them are getting paid, and we've never had transparency either with the losses that this town is actually taking, other than we get a printout once a month. It just doesn't make sense that, besides, Mayor, you said that we were losing on average $300,000 a year in utility deposits. Now we're losing somewhere else so that we have to raise our taxes. Just from last year we raised it, now we're raising it again to 5 cents. I mean, where will this stop? We're at such a high unemployment rate, and where census has lost over 4% of our population. We've hired an assistant city attorney for $140,000. We already have a city attorney. I mean, not city. I mean, city assistant manager, and then now we also have a city manager. We are spending a lot of money for a lot of things, and now we're going to increase our budget. A lot of people have a lot of questions here, not just here, but many other places. In fact, 95% of the business are opposing, for example, that utility deposit as well. 95%. There's doctors, there's attorneys, whatever you want. I've got disclosure. I can open it up to show you that these people are not in agreement with that. We feel this is driving our population further down. We can't turn this into a retirement town. As one police officer told me clearly to me, Dr. Aziz Omer, this is not a retirement town. This is a working class town. We need all the people we have, and we need to grow it so the rest of our citizens don't end up having to pay more on their property taxes, because we're devaluating our properties, so our taxes keep going up to cover those losses that the city is still facing. It just doesn't make sense whatsoever.
Are you through?
Yes.
You were here last month.
Yes, I was.
You heard the budget statement for every department.
I don't remember every bit of it.
Okay, that's all right. You know where it's at. She told you it's in the library. It's online. It's here. The primary reason you're here is because of the increase in deposits for utilities. True?
No.
That's
Today,
not anymore?
that's not, no,
No,
that
okay,
is
let's-
a big reason. But
Where-
this adds to that. You've asked me, I'm just
Doctor,
answering your
you
question.
wanted to compromise, and I'm going to be here to compromise with you right now.
Okay.
I've got an application here. When you bring a tenant in, because this is what your concern is. You've been here 3 months.
Yes, I have.
Your concern is the $400 for the people with no credit,
Correct.
right?
Correct.
What I want you to do to compromise, just those people that have no credit,
Correct.
want you to put the utility in your name. And
Sorry.
let them pay you. And let them pay you.
I'm not.
I don't want to suspend this public hearing for comments out there. You have an opportunity in a few minutes to go to the podium. And I'm not playing around. I conduct the meeting like I always conducted the meeting.
Mayor, I'll respond to that. First of all, I'm not the electric company.
Wait a minute. Wait.
You're asking me to be the electric company by doing just that,
Doctor,
to say
I'm
that put it
asking,
in my
Who
name.
do you want to take
It's not me
risk?
personally.
Who
It's
do you
not.
want to take the risk?
It's not about risk.
It is a
Duke
risk.
Power takes risks. They're in the business of electric. City of Morganton, if they want that, they must also take the same responsibilities as Duke Power is.
We are.
No, you're not. You're telling me, Mayor, that I alone must take that risk. That means that, like Breeden Realty and some of the other realty companies have hundreds of companies, to tell them to take it all on while the city of Morganton decides to spend that money any way they choose, see, and fit. Duke Power does not do
Do you
that.
get a security deposit?
I do, but it's less than what you charge for a deposit.
Do you
Far
get a
less.
security deposit that you
Yes,
could pay? That you could pay the utility if they didn't pay for it to you?
I lose money in my business.
So do we.
Not
if we-
100%
The risk
free.
the risk is there for us too, Doctor. We
I
can't talk
agree with
about-
you. There
we
is
tried
risk.
to talk. You've
I-
talked to Mr. Simmons. You've talked to Mr. Fleming. You've talked to Mr. Vini. You've talked to me.
Yes.
Your 3 minutes are over.
Okay. Well,
Thank you.
Can I?
thank you for your time.
The budget. Can he
Yeah,
have a
go
little
on.
bit more time, please? First of all, Compass Cable, the cable fund has not been losing money, and I don't know where you got that information.
It's never lost money?
It has lost money in some years, but for the last several years, it has not been losing money. It
Has the
has been
subscriptions
making
gone
money.
down?
Excuse me?
Have the subscriptions to Compass Cable been going down?
Some months they go down, some months they go
What
up.
is the level of the subscription level right now?
4,600 customers out of 6,000 homes, whatever that percentage is.
What is our population for the city?
Well, there's about 6,000 homes that it passes. That's my point. And I'm happy to sit down with you if you want to make an appointment with me and talk about the budget
I
numbers.
did try to make an appointment with you. You told me you would be out of town for 3 weeks, and the mayor said you
You
had my
never
number.
asked for an appointment with me, sir, and I haven't been gone for 3 weeks. I wasn't gone 3 weeks when I had my second baby. Okay? So I was here. My number is here. You can call her, you
Right.
can call me. I will have an appointment with you if you would like to do that.
We'll do that.
We do not commingle our monies. We follow all government finance accounting practices. We follow governmental accounting procedures in how we present our financial statements. I am happy to go through those financial statements. We are required by law to keep those funds separate, to not commingle them, and we do not do that. And that's why we report every year on the financial health of each of those business enterprises separately.
You've not told me why the budget has to be increased by this 5% in our town when our unemployment rate's at 10.7% and our unemployment rate and our census has gone down 5%, and the value of a lot of homes, those 6,000, have lost money in valuation. In my own neighborhood, some of my neighbors said they've lost $50,000 on their home. Doesn't exactly invite a retirement community to want to come in and buy a home that's going to lose $50,000 right off the bat.
The 5-cent tax rate increase is made up of two things, and that's the last thing that I will say. It is made up of those property devaluations that you were talking about. So if we were to collect the same amount of revenue today with the new values that we did with the old, that requires a 3.4-cent tax rate increase. And then the two revenues that the state that we were getting, that we are no longer getting to fund the services, which is public safety, recreation, the auditorium, several of the things that you have talked about. And if we do that, we have to raise that another 1.6 cents. 5 cents creates the same dollars in tax revenue that we're getting before the property valuation and before that tax change. That is where the 5 cents comes from.
Well, I can tell you there's a lot of city roads that are totally horrible in this city.
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Both podiums are open. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Carol Snow, and I live at 507 College Street in Morganton. You said not to speak about anything other than the budget. So
That's a budget night.
Okay, utility security deposit was mainly what I wanted to talk about. You're not
You did
allowing
it
that.
That was last month.
Okay, so are you going to allow us to speak about that ever again?
If you want to come next month?
Okay. All right, so I'm being denied my right to speak about that tonight.
No.
Is that right?
This is a budget night, public hearing on the budget.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Jenny Godfrey. I live at 207 Randolph Street in Morganton. I am a property owner, and I just simply want to state my objection to the budget. I would like to see a proposed budget by Ms. Sandy, devised that reflects no increase in property taxes, and it scales it down just to the basic services. I want to see that. And I would like to have an appointment with Ms. Sandy I could possibly learn something. But for tonight, I do want to state my objection to the budget and would ask that you hold off on making a decision on the budget until there's more information.
Thank you, Ms. Godfrey.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joy Beck. I live at 114 Cross Creek Drive in Morganton. And I would like to ask a couple of questions, if I may. You indicated that basic cable has not ever, or in the past, lost money. Therefore, why is basic cable going up another $3 per month if we're not losing the money?
In the very beginning, Ms. Beck, it did lose money, but in the last 3 or 4 years, it has made money. And the reason it goes up is Mr. Berkey's in the back of the room, and he can vouch for Channel 6, which is NBC, but Channel 6 now charges, and has the last 2 or 3 years, charged us to carry their station on our television cable system. And everything, Sports South, ESPN, I'm trying to bring them off the top of my head. Everything has gone up. That's not just Channel 6, Channel 3, Channel 9, Fox. All of them each year have gone up. And you sign about a 2 or 3 year commitment to them, and you negotiate with them and try to get it down. But Mr. Berkey in the back of the room would verify what I'm saying. It continuously goes up. And it's the programming that goes up. It's not. That's the reason we have to go up.
Okay, I understand that, and I hear you. What you're saying, the channels that I'm hearing are not really in basic cable, are they?
Yes, all 70,
ESPN and all of those are in basic.
78 stations, and actually 42% of the cable budget is television programming cost. That's a total of $1.9 million next year that the TV stations and the channels that we are carrying are charging us to show that to our customers.
Okay, well, that answers my question.
And January is the time of year when that all goes up.
Yeah.
They're on a calendar year basis.
I appreciate that. The other thing I would like to just mention, you've talked about the 8.5 devaluation or drop in the valuation of property, and that I certainly understand. However, and I know that this is not really supposed to be a retirement community, but there's a lot of retired people in this county. And for instance, with our property taxes, they went up over $15,000 initially, and we appealed it because everybody else in our subdivision went down except for one other home and ours. And they brought it down. They listened to our appeal. They brought it down, but they brought it down to the one that was back in 2007. So we get no break for the 8.5% devaluation because ours is still way up. And if we got that, some of these fees wouldn't hurt the seniors near as much as when they've kept the valuations so high. We are in the process of appealing that. Hopefully we'll be successful. But if we don't, you're going to lose a lot of senior citizens because they can no longer afford this kind of things, everything going up. Thank you for your hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Beck. Appreciate it.
My name is William Harbison Jr., and I live at 1192 Oak Hill Drive. According to the agenda, it speaks about how a citizen can be heard. I know the city budget has its ups and downs, and I disapprove of any increase in anything. But one of the things that I would like to address is the Morganton Historic Festival that is uptown. It's been brought to my attention that is a 501c, which is a nonprofit, and you are the registered agent for the state. Mr. Mayor?
Me?
Yes, sir.
I raised money for it.
You raised money for it?
Yeah.
Now,
So we were able to have it. I raised the money.
Okay, now, is this money any way contributed towards the city government of Morganton?
No.
There's no way it's
No
separate.
intermingle.
Okay, so how's this money being dispersed once it's raised? Because the citizens of Morganton are spending time and they're spending money as far as this 501c goes. And any contributions that is made to a 501c is supposed to be tax deductible?
I can't address that because I'm not an accountant, but what I do is I raise money so we can have about $100,000 worth of entertainment free to the public, where you can have two first-line country music stars to come to Morganton. Most people can't go to Charlotte and go to the Coliseum and see, country music stars. And for the last number of years, as you know, I started it with a bunch of wonderful people 32 years ago. And it's done that every year, and we've always had a good festival, but we depend upon industry We depend upon businesses to contribute to make the festival run. And there is a small contribution from the city. And, of course, in public safety, they're out there watching the crowd. But that's how the festival is run.
Okay, but I think according to the state, any contribution that's made to a 501c is tax deductible.
I can't address that because I'm not an accountant. I'm a retired individual.
Okay, but when can we set an agenda to make that disclosure and make it possible?
We have a board of directors that you can go to, and Sharon Jablonski's in the back of the room, and she can invite you to the next board meeting.
All right, yes, sir. But one of the things, if it turns out that the 501c is tax deductible, after finding out, how do we get receipts so that any contributions that we make, any money that we are spending at that festival, we get a receipt showing that is tax deductible, even though we are contributing to a 501c nonprofit organization. According to the state of North Carolina, according to the Secretary of State, the historic Morganton Festival is a 501c nonprofit.
It is, and I am an accountant.
She's an accountant.
And what that means is
Due to the fact that you're on the city board, I would rather hear an explanation from another accountant, being that you are part of the...
No problem.
Thank you.
No problem. No problem. They'll be happy to charge you.
I have good news. Is that all right?
That's all right. Go ahead and let her do first.
I'm going to piggyback on what Ms. Beck said about the cable rates, because I do have a chart here. I asked Joshua Harris for some information about your financial reports just over the last 6 years. And by the way, it would be really awesome if those were placed online so that people can go ahead and access those right away. I know that Burke County puts their financial audits online. It goes back for years and years. The schools don't. And
Carol, they're there.
Online also.
They're online also.
Your audits are online?
Yeah.
Where can I find those?
They are.
Because they had to
We'll get that information
email
to
that
you.
over to me. He didn't give me a link to it. He had to give me the actual files. So anyway, I didn't realize they were online. I couldn't find them. But anyway, I just pulled together some figures over the past 7 years, and this is your utility fund. I'm not sure if you can see this or not. Your utility fund is this great big red line right here where you're losing money year after year. Just goes back the last 7 years. And then your black line right here, that's where you started turning it around. I can see why you're saying that the pink line right here, that's where you were losing money in your cable fund. Just the last 2 years, you did turn it around. In fact, you made about $318,000 one year, and then about $378,000 according to your figures. And I'm not a CPA; I'm just looking at your profit and loss statements. But it just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense that now would be the time that you would raise your rates on your cable. Now that you pulled that or turned that around to $378,000 profit and a $318,000 profit, and now you're raising your rates another $3. So that would be my question: why now? Why would you do that now? So thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you.
My name is Kent Banks. I live at 2260 Crestview Street, Morganton, North Carolina. And I don't want to make a specific objection, but I just want to state an objection to the entire budget. I don't agree with these increases, and I just want to be a citizen on record letting you know that.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Daniel Suddeth. I'm at 122 Jefferson Street, Morganton, North Carolina. I want to say, I heard the lady say about a retirement city, that is supposed to be a retirement city, and or not that it is, but you hear different things about people saying retirement. I'm disabled. I'm on Social Security disability, so that means I have a fixed income. Last year, you did have an increase on utilities, which it seems like the increase on utilities came up and it had different reasons why there was an increase. Now the bill has all of a sudden changed, and we started billing these different things. And sometimes they increase, sometimes they decrease, and I don't know where it comes in at let me go back and say I object to the increase. Okay, and the reason why is because of the fact that I am disabled. I'm on a fixed income. When you have people on fixed incomes, on disability, or people that are retired that do not get an increase, and for the last 4 years, just last year, I received an increase with Social Security disability. Prior to that, it was 4 years before we received an increase. I believe it was a 4% increase that we received. I believe you guys said on the budget that it's going to be a 5% increase on utilities. For a person that's disabled or that's on a fixed income, how do they continue to go with every year? Because you just had an increase last year. How do you go if you're going to do it every year? Because we don't know. We're just looking at it increasing again a year. Then we may increase again next year. You know, do we look at sometimes maybe looking at the budget of the council or the government? I know in some businesses they decide to maybe start cutting back on the officials they have. Maybe some jobs are not just that important, instead of affecting the people and making us continue to pay taxes, because we know our taxes also, I think, may fund how you guys get paid. I'm not too sure. I don't know if the state pays. I'm not prepared. I just kind of heard about this meeting, so I came. But I intend on being prepared for the next meeting. I definitely. But my concern would be, how do you continue to raise it when you have certain people that are on fixed incomes and people that are disabled, people that are retired? What do you do with them? And are you aware that you'll probably start to lose them as well? And also, I'll state that I am a property owner as well, too, so that affects me with those increases also.
Mr. Sudworth, I'll answer you. We don't like to raise electric rates. We have to because we're paying for our electricity that Duke Power produces it for us, and they charge us. And if you read the paper, the unfortunate thing is Duke's trying to get a 5%, right out of 5% rate increase right now. They are doing that almost every year also.
Right.
And it's not something I'm sure they'd like to do, but their expenses have gone up. Our expenses have gone up. And, we feel bad about it, but we have to do it because we have to pay for it.
But and I understand that, but I think that if there's that maybe the people, because you say you have to pay for it, but I think really it's the taxpayers that's paying for it, kind of like the people.
No, I pay the same thing you do.
Well, I'm sure you do, but at the same time, you're in a position that it's easier for you to have that change. You're the mayor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? But when you have these people out here that or the people in the community that may be disabled, may be unemployed, may be retired, you see what I'm saying? There's not too much already, there's no jobs here. So it's not like we can say, okay, well, we're going to get an increase. Let's try to get more jobs.
I understand.
But
and
so
we're
that's
working
why
on
I
that
say
too.
That's why I object. Another question that I would just like to ask about is I heard you talk about the historic festival and you talk about fireworks and everything.
No, that's the red, white, and bluegrass.
Okay. Well, let me ask this question then, because I don't know if it goes into the budget. You have the red, white, and bluegrass festival. I know before it seems like the city, we would have fireworks, okay? And it seems like the last few years since this festival, it seems like we're not getting fireworks, and it seems like I heard something in regards to the budget. When we do have these fireworks at the festival, that I think is supposed to be for the city. Is that what the fireworks are supposed to be for the city, for the
residents.
Citizens? For the residents. So now are we having these fireworks at this festival? If it's for the residents, my question would be, who's paying for these fireworks?
Comes out of the city recreation budget.
City recreation budget. And where does that budget come from? Does that come from
City
the
of
taxes
Morganton.
that we pay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So now that's from the residents. So if these fireworks are being at this festival, why are the residents being charged?
They're not. It's free.
Okay, I was under the impression that it was being charged when you go there, unless if you want to go inside of the place, but otherwise it's on the outside.
It's going to be done on July 4th this year, and it's free.
Okay, all right, that's all I have.
Yeah.
Okay,
And the
thank you.
fireworks have always been free.
Well, I understand that
The
they've
festival
always.
is not free.
No, the festival's not free, but you're saying that the fireworks are always free. But I'm under the impression that, like last year, the fireworks didn't get started because they were held up because of a concert. You see what I'm saying? That the residents were not at. If the fireworks are for the residents, it shouldn't have been held up for a concert. And it seems like it was at 11 o'clock at night, people were able to see fireworks when their children were already going home, going to sleep, because you had a regular time, but it was being held up for the festival. My thing, if it's for the residents.
Storm. There was a bad storm that night.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah, there was.
No, it wasn't. It sure
Storm
wasn't.
delayed the concert.
Yeah.
It was.
Storm delayed the
There was
concert
actually a
early in
concert.
the
You are
evening.
correct.
It
But
got
there was
wet,
a
but
storm that delayed that into that.
we can debate that, but the reason why I know there wasn't a storm there, ma'am, is because I sell fireworks. Okay, if there was a storm, I would have had to set my tents down. I make a lot of revenue on the 4th. For the last 4 years, I've sold fireworks for the city, and so I know when there's a storm because I have to pull everything down. And I lost a lot of revenue, or the company lost a lot of revenue, because of the fact that the fireworks were delayed to 11 o'clock. And like I say, my concern was if it's for the residents, let's have it for the residents and not use it as an excuse because of the
Gonna
festival
be done
and the
right.
concerts.
It's gonna be done right in a couple of weeks.
I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Are you gonna be there? Okay.
I don't think he heard you.
That's all right. Close the public hearing. Council?
I move we accept the budget as presented.
Second. Motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, budget passes. Motion to adopt the schedule of fees and charges for fiscal year 13-14. I made that in form of motion, you guys.
Second.
We have a second.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
I don't care about the rest.
Let's wait a second.
We're in
It's
session.
okay. It's okay, Miss Pickard. Pickard. I guess they don't care about the rest of the business, right?
Evidently not. Consideration of the year-end budget amendment 2012-13. Sally.
You have before you a copy of the year-end budget amendment. The good news about that is that there is no additional revenue that we need. We are just recognizing additional revenues and cleaning up line items as we do. Would ask that you consider doing those for each fund. The general fund is $90,000. And that is additional revenue in taxes and privilege licenses that have come in better than what we budgeted, and then a variety of expenses that we're shifting.
I move we approve the year-end budget amendment.
Second. Have a motion. Second. Any discussion?
For general fund, I think we have to do each one.
Yeah.
So that's general fund. Who seconded that? Alfred?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Sorry, gotcha. Okay, you have to vote on the general fund. Did you vote?
All in favor say aye. Opposed?
Okay, in the water fund, it's $68,000, and that is recommending cell tower revenue that is coming in, and then adjustments in various utility supplies, chemicals, various.
Second.
Have a motion. Second. All in favor say aye. Opposed?
Cable, $21,500, and that is a difference in telephone sales and then the rental costs for telephone, the associated professional costs for the telephone service.
So moved.
Second. Okay, motion second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed?
And then the warehouse fund, that's $275,000. That is all relative to purchases for inventory. That is appropriating retained earnings there because in the other funds we'll buy that. Most of that is for equipment being purchased at the warehouse and then drawn out to go into the interstate exchange projects and also Morganton Heights.
So moved. Second. Discussion? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Okay. That's it on that. Consideration of the Powell bill resurfacing of city streets for 2013-14.
It's a shame that they didn't stay to hear about this. The gentleman who's concerned about the street resurfacing. This is asking you, because our bids that we accepted on June the 3rd to do this year's street resurfacing, the unit price was so favorable. Maymead has agreed to extend that price for our 13-14 contracts. And you have a list of those streets in your information, and we would ask that you approve authorizing Maymead to do the 13-14 resurfacing for $157,418 using the Powell bill monies for that.
So moved. Second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion?
Yeah, I got a comment.
Yes, sir.
Heretofore, if it would be possible, and I understand we got limited funds, but heretofore, if it would possibly be possible, if we could do a whole street at a time, I think it'd be more favorable, as opposed to doing parts of streets, and that's just my view.
Okay. We can talk about that. They usually, and I know that you know this because we talked about it before, they usually try to pick out the worst areas. And especially in this contract, we're doing some patch areas rather than complete resurfacing. And the other thing that we're trying out is it's a new resurfacing, and it's a different type of resurfacing material that they're going to try out and see how that holds up. If it does, then we're going to be able ultimately to do more roads with that. We don't know yet how that's going to exactly work.
Well, I understand we're trying to do the best we can of what
We
we
are.
got to do with, and that's well understandable.
But we'll look at that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consideration of award of a contract for driveway and entrance rehabilitation at public safety substations Avery and Berkmont Avenue. Sally.
You'll remember that on our field trip when we went to visit some capital project needs around the community, one of the places that we went were the public safety substations. And you'll remember that both of at the Berkmont station and the Avery Avenue station, we have some wear and tear on basically the paving there with the heavy axle weighted trucks. We got a lot of rutting happening, we have a lot of cracking, and just pretty much disintegration of that asphalt. So at that time we decided that we would try to work on extending the concrete pads there, using something a little more rigid, something that could better serve those facilities. We took bids on that. We had split that up between 2 budget years in order to be more efficient with our funding. However, we received bids on Thursday, June 6th. We got 5 bids. The lowest responsible bid was from Stewart McKee Construction, and that's in the amount of $31,186.95. That is enough to allow us to do both repairs and to do that with this year's budget money. And so would ask that you consider awarding that.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? It's an unusual discrepancy difference between.
Yeah.
They were quite large. I think he was aggressive for the business, and he is also currently doing some work. And feels like close by. Feels like he can do that.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. That it?
I think that's it.
All right, guys. Is there anything else from any of the council members?
I'd just like to thank the staff for all the work that they put into preparing this budget, and
We had a whole crowd of people, John.
I think it's a very realistic budget, and I'm disappointed in some of the comments that were made tonight because folks did not do their homework, and I believe our staff did, and I think all of us that participated in these budgets did our homework, and it was aided by our staff.
I'd like to ditto it, and I hate that you had to beat me to it, but saying that, but I appreciate what you said, and again, thank the staff and everything for what they do. Okay. Meeting's adjourned.